Hey YouTube family, it's Humberto from GrayLaw TV, and we're going to bring you some good news today. Absolutely. We always bring good news, right? That's our channel. If you want bad news, you got to go to the other channels. One thing that we do on this channel, very important, is I bring to you real-time cases. These are cases that I'm actually working on in my office. What does that do? It provides you with real processing times. It provides you with what immigration is doing with regard to interviews, with regard to swearing-in ceremonies. And this is real time, folks, all right? It's a lot different from the USCIS website. So stick around for the real, cases. And I got a couple today that are really, really interesting. Can non-immigrant visa holders get the stimulus check for $1,400? This is the one that's recently passed. This is the $1.9 trillion. Biden just passed it. Here's who can get the check. Anyone with a valid Social Security number. U.S. citizens, obviously. You have legal permanent residents. They have valid Social Security numbers. They get the check. Now, here's the confusing part. Can non-immigrant visa holders obtain the $1,400 check? The answer is yes, if they have a valid Social Security number. A temporary ITIN number is not going to work, but a valid Social Security number works for purposes of the $1,400 check. So what you can have, for example, you can have H-1B holders, L-1s, E-visa holders, temporary DACA individuals. You have TPS individuals. If you are present in the U.S. as a tax resident, and again, that's a complicated formula, but we'll keep it really simple. If you're in the United States legally as a tax resident paying taxes with a valid Social Security number, you will get a check and you can cash the check. That breaks it down, $1.9 trillion. Some of you are going to get those checks in the mail, folks. I am so happy about this one. The public charge rule is gone. District Court struck it down permanently. Gone. It will not come back, even though Biden administration was studying it. No longer do you need to put the form I-944 in. Let's say you have a request for evidence. You have a case. They've asked for that I-944 form. What do? All right? Here's what I think, because there's no real answer, but I can give you my advice, right? What I would do is, if you can respond and include it in there, go ahead and put it in, right? But if you can't, if you're having problems with it, or if you have a family, that may be living right on the edge and you have a joint sponsor, then you indicate on your response it is no longer required by immigration. As a matter of fact, I put a link here. If you look at the Immigration USCIS website, they've taken down the I-944 public charge rule from their website. It's gone. That's good news moving forward. One additional piece of information regarding public charge as a ground of inadmissibility. I want everyone to know this because of the pandemic, what's going on. There is misinformation that if you get a vaccine, the COVID vaccine shot, that it could be considered public charge. Not true, okay? Get the shot. It's not a ground of inadmissibility. Another bit of good news. I've been talking about the children that was separated from their parents at the border over the last 4 years. There were over 500 kids that as of last week were still not reunited with their parents. Sad story. This is one that really, really bothered me. Well, under the Biden administration, they put in a task force to try to find the kids and reunite them with their parents. I am happy to report that as of last week, 104 kids have been reunited with their parents. That is so cool, guys. There's still 400, left, and they're working really hard. They're being diligent in trying to find the parents, and that is really good news. At least the kids will be able to be reunited with their parents. I see that as a win-win for everyone. So last week, a bill was introduced into Congress. Okay? It was a bill that allows for pathway to citizenship, for DACA recipients, for TPS individuals, and for farm workers, okay? You've kind of heard about this, but this is a bill that was actually passed in the House back in 2009. It's been reintroduced to the House, hoping that it will pass again. Then it'll go to the Senate, and hopefully it will pass in the Senate. Now, when we say pathway to citizenship, what are we talking about? We're talking about an amnesty. We're talking about 11 million undocumented? No. We're talking about dreamers. These are DACA kids that were brought to the U.S. and have remained here. They were brought here by their parents, no fault of their own. They were too young, right? They followed along, right? They've been here. They have to graduate from high school. They have to have no criminal convictions. I mean, these are good kids. These are kids that are doing outstanding. I think there's positive public sentiment, to have these kids become green card holders and ultimately U.S. citizens. TPS, temporary protected status. These are individuals who cannot return to their country because of violence. There's a war in their country. They just can't go back. They're granted this temporary status. Some have been here for 15, 20 years on TPS. They have families. They have, work permits. They're legal. They pay their taxes, etc. These are the individuals we're talking about giving a pathway to a green card and U.S. citizenship. And of course, the farm workers. They feed the country. They deserve to have green cards and ultimately U.S. citizenship. So I think that's good news. This bill was introduced. Let's see where it goes. I think it's going to pass. I think it's going to move forward. We'll see what happens. Alrighty, folks, now to my real cases, right? These are cases that I've been working on. These are responses that I got last week, okay? Let's talk about these cases. Two different types of cases. It's the I-751 removal of conditional residence status. I-751 petitions, you have the joint petitions and you have the waiver petitions. The joint petition is where the husband and wife file together jointly, they're still married, and they prove that the marriage was lawful over the last 2 years. Then you have a waiver petition, right? A waiver petition is where the marriage has broken down and they're getting a divorce. So they file an I-751 waiver. The alien files himself or herself for the I-751 waiver. And basically the USCIS website says these petitions are taking, generally between a year to a year and a half. Okay? Well, that's not true, right? We know it is taking much longer. For example, the California Service Center, up to 27 months to adjudicate an I-751. I have had some cases, yes, that have taken over 2 years, okay? Now, let's look at these cases in my office. We have the waiver petition. Generally, those take longer because there's always an interview. You have to determine the credibility of the alien in the waiver petitions. This particular case, 1 year. And the interview was waived. No interview. Why is that? I think it's because we prepare these cases very, very thoroughly, okay? Lots of statements, affidavits, joint documentation, so it's wonderful. Not only did it reduce the time that it's pending, but it also allowed for an approval without an interview. Joint petition, same thing, approval without interview. This one was pretty simple, okay? They have kids born through the marriage, so over the last 2 years. They have 2 kids, so that interview was going to be waived. I wasn't surprised about that. What I was surprised about is it took a year and a half. It didn't take over 2 years to get the actual green card. So that's good news. Again, the joint petition was prepared as well. I think that's the key, right? Prepare the petitions. They will get approved faster, perhaps even without an interview. There's a substantial backlog. So, hey, I think that's a good tip for you folks. And thanks so much for watching GrayLaw TV. Click below, like and subscribe. Go to our frequently asked questions section. We have some great videos there. A lot of the questions that you guys ask, it's over and over and over again. Same question. Well, there's an answer with the video there. So, hey, just make sure you subscribe. GN subscribers, we can't answer all the questions, but we are giving preference to our subscribers. We show you guys a lot of love. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.